The New York Giants are undoubtedly the NFL's biggest surprise team this season. The team finished third in the division with a record of 9-7-1 and punched their ticket into the playoffs for the first time since 2016. Every credible media outlet, independent reporter, and pretty much every NFL fan in general viewed the Giants as a bottom-feeding team heading into the season, and they all could not have been more wrong. Like any turnaround, the Giants' rise began with an excellent offseason. Former GM Dave Gettleman retired from the NFL, and they hired Joe Schoen, who had been the assistant GM for the Buffalo Bills in the last couple of years. The team also fired head coach Joe Judge and brought in Brian Daboll, also from the Bills. Both Schoen and Daboll wanted to bring the same roster construction, mentality, scheme, and culture that the Bills have had over the last few seasons. Free agency was relatively quiet for the Giants. They added some depth pieces and signed a couple of veterans to compete, but they didn't really make any splash moves that would warrant the team taking a step forward. The real improvement for the Giants came in the NFL draft. With their first-round pick at number 5 overall, they selected edge defender Kayvon Thibodeaux, which in my opinion was one of the biggest steals of the draft. Thibodeaux possesses elite athleticism and pass rush and run defensibility. The team also selected 2 picks later and took offensive lineman Evan Neal, who again I thought was one of the steals of the first round. He looked to be a plug-and-play day one star at tackle. The Giants were building their team the right way. They were building for the future. Both edge defender and tackle are 2 premier valuable positions, and if both guys panned out, they would be set up for long-term success. The Giants had some good picks later in the draft, such as wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson and tight end Daniel Bellinger, but make no mistake about it, this draft was made by both Neal and Thibodeaux. Following the offseason, the Giants began hot, just shocking the world, beginning 6-1. They were winning close, scrappy games by playing turnover-free football on offense, doing just enough to get by, and playing bend but don't break defense. They won each of their 6 games by 1 score with an average margin of victory of 4.5 points. Running back Saquon Barkley appeared to be returning back to his old form as he carried most of the load on offense. The Giants relied heavily on Barkley in all facets of their game. He not only ran and caught the ball out of the backfield, but the team often used him in the Wildcat game. Even though the Giants were 6-1 at this point, there were many people, including myself, that despite the record still thought the team was a bit overvalued. People like me attributed a lot of the team's success to Brian Daboll and thought it was a relatively talentless team. Though the Giants tailed off the back half of the season, the talent the Giants had was on full display. Tackle Andrew Thomas established himself as a dominant force on the offensive line. Defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence proved to be one of the best players in the NFL this season. Other players like Daniel Jones, Leonard Williams, Aaron Robinson, and many more stepped up in big ways to deliver key wins for the Giants. The Giants even capped off their underdog season by upsetting the 13-win Vikings in the wildcard round of the playoffs. Personally, I think the writing was on the walls in that game, but it was still a big upset nonetheless. With all that being said, I do believe there was a great deal of luck in the Giants' favor this season. I want to be careful to not dismiss the success this team had because basically nobody expected them to come this far, but the Giants were very much an overachieving team. That I think we can pretty much agree on. But I do think it's worth asking why we think they overachieved, because that's a legitimate question, and in large part it's because they don't have some star-studded great roster. They're a very young team with players whom we believe can develop into stars moving forward, but this roster does not normally equate to a playoff win in January. I think head coach Brian Daboll deserves a ton of credit for coming into its organization and changing the culture into a winning one. That much I can say confidently. But the Giants were pretty much just an average team. They finished 16th in points per game on offense and 18th in points per game allowed on defense while maintaining a negative point differential. The Giants deserve all the credit in the world for shocking everybody, winning 9 games, and winning a playoff game. But everything about this team just screams average to me. I don't want to write this team off because I trust their management and coaching to make the right decisions in the offseason, but I can easily see a world in which this team is not performing as well next season, especially if Daniel Jones is their quarterback. Jones certainly made progress this season, particularly in the turnover department, but he is not some franchise quarterback. Jones' name is being elevated because of the Giants winning games this season, but if they choose to roll with him moving forward, I think it's going to cost them in the end. Certainly, I could go on and on about Jones, but he played much better than in previous years, and he deserves credit for really playing a great playoff game. So overall, this is an overwhelmingly positive video. There's a lot of positives that have to go along with the New York Giants. They had some breakout stars. They have found their GM, they've found their coach, and with another excellent offseason, this could be another playoff contending season. I just have some questions specifically about Daniel Jones, especially if he's asking for $35 million a year. I guess in this day and age, that's not crazy money to ask for, but I do not view Daniel Jones as a franchise quarterback. A lot of the arguments surrounding Daniel Jones is the fact that the Giants won 9 games this season, and don't even get me started about using wins as a quarterback stat. Jones is nothing more than an Andy Dalton in his prime, or a Ryan Tannehill, or even a worse version of Derek Carr. There are certainly positive things that you can say about Daniel Jones, but if you're relying on him to be your future franchise quarterback, you're going to end up in purgatory nonetheless. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It's the easiest way to support the channel. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and I will see you all in the next video.